Hi guys, welcome back to Cables Lake in Oxford and part 2 of my spring vlog. Those of you that haven't seen part 1, just follow the link on the screen now, give that a little watch. It's 20 minutes long and it'll just bring you up to date with where we are. So we're back down, it's Easter Monday now, the 8th of May. We're back down the lake. We've got 2 nights this week, so I got down here early this morning about 7 a.m. Watched the water for a couple of hours, just see what I could see. All the weekend lads were still on, I think there was 3 of them. And saw a couple of fish show out in open water. It was a real carpy morning, to be fair. Nice southwesterly blowing, real low skies, a little bit of drizzle in the air. It looked really good, especially for a bite out in the pond. But unfortunately, the swims I had in mind for out in the pond, where I thought the fish would be, I only did 1 bite the weekend. So yeah, the 3 guys fishing Stocking, Lookout and the Point, did 1 37-pounder, which obviously a really nice fish, but there was 3 good anglers fishing that zone the weekend and only 1 bite, so put me off a little bit. But there was 1 guy fishing in Underarm 2, which is a swim to the right of where I had those 2 bites the last couple of weeks. He actually had 5 bites and it has been doing a few bites this swim. It's not a swim I've fished before, or I fished it for a couple of hours, I think back end of March or beginning of April or something. But it's not a swim that I've done a night in. So yeah, I've ended up coming in here. I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a second, but the reason why I haven't gone back in Underarm 1 is I caught that fish really close in, sort of like 20 yards out, underarm flick onto a nice little bit of gravel that I found, and yeah, happy days. But the other rods were fished a little bit further out and kind of underneath the cables. Now there's nothing in the rules about how far you can fish in that swim, you know, and there's a central area in this lake that from the 3 main swims, Stocking, Lookout and Point, if you was to cast 120 yards in front of all 3 of those, there's like a central area that's just doesn't get fished. You know, it's just too far for most people to fish. But from Underarm you can kind of fish that zone. Underarm 1 you can fish that zone, or you can get to it anyway, kind of just casting under the cables, sort of, you know, 40 yards or so, 50 yards. There's nothing in the rules saying you can't do that. There may be after this, but yeah, there's been a few murmurs come round and there was a post up on Facebook saying that underarm's only for underarm fishing, which obviously sounds obvious, but there isn't actually any rules about it. It's just something that, you know, I wasn't told. No one's actually said anything to me specifically, but yeah, so although I did catch that fish really close in, I don't really just want to go in a swim and just fish 2 rods kind of like, you know, 3 and 4 wraps out, especially when the weather's like this, because I don't think there's going to be loads of fish traffic right in the edge. But I may move into there at a later date, we'll see. So I've come into this swim over here. Like I say, it's been doing fish kind of down to the right off the reeds, and there's like a load of snags down there, and the reeds have been knocking kind of all day really. There's fish stacked up in there. So yeah, I've ended up just putting a rod over to the reeds just on a hinge. It's like low-lying Canadian over there, and just scattered some baits around it with the catapult. And I've ended up putting my left-hand rod to a tree to the left-hand side, which is on the same kind of line to where I caught that fish from last week from the swim down. It's just like real low-lying Canadian, sort of like 3-4 inches long, so you can easily present over the top of it with a hinge and a helicopter. And interestingly, this morning when I was stood watching, there was loads of Canadian blowing in on the wind down that bottom end, so I'm sure they're ripping it up and having a go. So yeah, we'll update you obviously if anything happens. The bites have still been kind of night bites. The only 2 fish I saw this morning were like 2 fish showed right in the centre, and the guys said they've been showing all weekend and they haven't been catching. I reckon they're just cleaning leeches off and whatnot. So I'm not completely decided I'm going to stay here. I never like following people in really, especially when they've done well, because it doesn't always go well for you. You know, the amount of times you've gone in like more prolific lakes and followed someone in who's bagged up, you know, it doesn't always carry on, you know, and yeah, so, but it was the most obvious choice, you know, with that many bites and the fish are evidently down there. I had no choice really but to come in here and at least give it a night and see what happens. So I'll update you if anything happens. Like I say, we've got 2 nights this week, bank holiday. It's my 11th and 12th night, so hopefully to catch another one. Speak to you later. Right, afternoon update. So quiet night for me, very quiet. In fact, no liners, no nothing. Didn't even look like there was any fish in the zone, to be fair. Saw a couple of fish on dark show over towards Canal Corner, and again at first light this morning I got up at 4. I stayed up from kind of 4 till 6, mainly because that's when the bites were coming out of this swim and I wanted to be awake, you know, fishing that close to reeds and snags. But I saw a couple of fish show over in Canal Corner this morning as well, so I got a feeling that they're kind of coming out of the main set of reeds and going down there at night. But they were very kind of like proper boshers, like almost like they were kind of getting rid of leeches. It wasn't exactly feeding shows. That's all I saw, to be fair. Yeah, quiet for me, but Luke's had a really good morning over in the beach. He's had a fish called Cluster and a fish called Bullet, so 32.5 and 42.10, which is a new PB. So yeah, we had those both within sort of 15 minutes of each other this morning, about 9:30ish, something like that, 9, half 9. So I said I'd go around and do the photos actually when he had the first one, and then he had the second one within sort of 10 minutes of that. So I left it until about 10 o'clock and then wound in, went round there, mega to share the buzz with him, mate. I mean, unfortunately, they're both fish he's caught before, but I think when he had Bullet last time, it was 36 pounds spawned out, so mega to catch it at such a big weight. So yeah, that was really good. I went round into Canal Corner, had a bit of a lead up over there where those fish were showing, found some really nice spots. I was kind of umming and ahhing over what to do. Then I come back round here and I saw a few fish in the snags. I saw a fish called the wood carving. It's like a mega 30-pound linear. A common called Nelson, again a 30-pound common, and then like a mid-20, all kind of drifting, not too far from where I'm fishing. And then as I got back round here, they were all sheeting up, weren't they, where my rods had been. Yeah, so I kind of didn't have rods in when they turned up, which was annoying. So I've just borrowed Luke's bushwhacker. I've never used one before, and just shipped out a little Ronnie rig actually, just on top of it's like low line Canadian, just with a little yellow pop up, exactly the same as what I caught that fish on last week. Yeah, and I've just catapulted about 10 baits over the top. Just going to fish one rod for today and see if we can get an afternoon bite. Might put another rod out there with the pole later, either to the snag or to the left of it. I'm not sure. See what I see, but I actually think one rod in the right zone is enough. So yeah, it's definitely getting towards that time of year now where they're spending a lot of time in these reeds. I'd say there could easily be 80-90% of the stock in them compared to like the little shows that I've seen out elsewhere. So yeah, sorry, I thought I just saw a fish show over there, but it wasn't. It was a bird. Right, I'll catch up with you later. Morning, so it's 8 a.m. now, and I've just done the second night. It's been an eventful morning, but unfortunately not in a good way. So I ended up putting my right hand rod out yesterday afternoon. I used Luke's bushwhacker just to pole it down there, and I dropped it in maybe 8 foot shy of the snag, just in a little bit of a silty area, not right in where it's really clean. It's suicide in there really, so a safe distance away. I could see the hook bait from the snag. I just lightly baited it with just a little bit of corn and a few chopped boilies, and I saw fish in there yesterday afternoon. Yeah, I was surprised nothing happened actually, but got to midnight and I went down and rebaited it again because I wanted to make sure that there was going to be bait there for first light this morning. Got up at 4:30, not a lot happening, no liners, no nothing. And then at about 5:45 started to get a few liners. And then, yeah, like I said, the bites have been coming at sort of 6 a.m. in this swim, and bang on 6 o'clock, just shy, a couple of minutes to 6, right hand rod just waxed to the top. And yeah, bent into it, double, had it on for just a few seconds, and rod straightens out. And yeah, I just assume I've had a hook pull, wind it back in, and the hook link's essentially gone. So I use Amnesia for pretty much all my rigs, for hinges, for spinners, and for like D-rigs when I'm fishing wafters. Never had any problems with it. It's tough as old boots. But I don't do much snag fishing, or hardly any snag fishing, to be honest. So I'm usually fishing it out in the pond and never had a problem. But yeah, I'm guessing where I'm only fishing sort of like 4 or 5 wraps out. There's loads of tension on the line. There's no stretch really at that range. It's just gone. It's just the knot's gone and the hook link's gone. It's exactly the same boom as I caught the fish on last week. It's a boom that you'd reuse over and over as long as there's nothing wrong with it, which there wasn't. So yeah, absolutely gutted. Absolutely gutted. So I bought, obviously that rod was in, brought the other rod in, changed them over to like braided booms, 30-pound braid. Yeah, and just dropped them back out there, put a bit more bait in. Yeah, if I'm honest, I can't help but feel that the chance is probably already gone. So yeah, hopefully this sun comes out and we get another chance. But if you don't hear from me again this week, it'll be next week. We've got one night next week, Tuesday night. But yeah, whew, what a spring. Oh, right, here we go. So there is a carp god after all. So we hung it out. It's kind of just after lunchtime now, probably about 12:30. To be honest, it looked devoid down in that snag. Seen 1 or 2 fish in there. Had one liner, but I just didn't think it was going to happen. But yeah, Luke, the guy in the beach, had just come past. He packed up, just had his baiting pole back off me. And yeah, the right hander just pulled round again. I just jumped in the water, waded straight on, and yeah, held tight, and it come away from the snag and just played it out just in front. So yeah, 27 pound. Not sure which fish it is, obviously, that big single scale. It's the same on both sides.
I imagine it's called single scale, or it will be if it hasn't already got a name. But yeah, absolutely buzzing. After that loss this morning, I was distraught. But yeah, that makes it 4 bites now in the last 3 weeks. Obviously landed 2, lost 2. But yeah, we're getting amongst them now, and I feel like I start to know how to catch them. So happy days. Buzzing. Let's get her back.
Afternoon guys, so we're back down the lake. As you can see, rods are out, sun's out, everything's all good. So it's May the 16th, a week after we had that fish, which turned out to be a fish called moon scale, that lovely 27 pounder that we had out of Underarm 2. So yeah, got down this afternoon. There's been another 5 fish out, I think, since last week. I think there was 1 midweek and then 4 the weekend, including a 43 pounder, a 39, a 33, and then I think a couple of 20s. So yeah, it's fishing reasonably well. They were all caught from 2 swims, 2 from the beach and 3 from lookout. So 1 from kind of the reeds and 1 from open water. So I've decided to come in the point, as you can see, this week. Reason being, the fish are practically living in these reed beds, so I'll just spin round here. So there's one kind of this side of me over here, and there's another one this side over here, and you can only kind of just see the entrances to them there. They go right back, and obviously there's snags in there as well. And that, yeah, I think they're pretty much living. I'd say that's probably 90% of the stock are in there, especially in the day. And then at the night, I think they're moving out, but I don't think they're moving too far. So I saw a few shows last week within sort of 50, 60 yards of this peg, right in the middle of the night, sort of like midnight. So I thought that potentially they're coming out from these reeds at night and feeding fairly close to these this peg. So yeah, that's theory anyway, so we'll see if it kind of pays off tonight, I guess. But yeah, I've put one rod over towards the right where I have fished before. It's a really, really nice clear spot at about 50 yards. You have to be really accurate with the casting, and I've actually put some spom bait over that for the first time. I've not got the spom out of it on here yet this spring. So I've put sort of 8 spoms of just sweet corn and boilie. I've not gone with any like tiny particles. I didn't want them kind of getting hard to catch. I've only got a night. So yeah, they've all went out really nice. And then the rod over the top with just a little Ronnie rig on that one with just a little yellow pop-up. And then the other 2 I've gone out a little bit longer. So 80 yards out in front of the swim, along the cables. It's fairly clear out there, bit of patchy weed, but where I'm actually presenting is clear. They've gone out with 2 very small little hinges. And I actually went round to Underarm 1 to put the bait in. Although it's 80 yards from this swim, it's only probably 50 yards from that swim. Obviously you can't get to it, as we know, underarm casting only in those swims. Yeah, I went round there and put the bait out from that swim, and it all went out sweet. So yeah, it's a lovely evening. I wouldn't say I'm overly confident, but I feel like I'm fishing well. All 3 rods got really good drops, and I feel like, you know, if fish come over those baited zones tonight, then we'll be in with a chance. But yeah, as ever, I'll let you know if anything happens and catch up with you in the morning or maybe next week. We haven't got long now before spawning. The weather's really kind of picked up quickly, as I knew it kind of would happen. So I don't know how many more trips we're going to get before they spawn. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. We'll have to wait and see. Right, catch you later. Morning guys. So as you can see, it is another mega day. It's really still, the sun's out. It was a really, really nice sunrise this morning. Real nice colours in the sky. Yeah, proper beautiful morning. So as you can see over there is 1 rod missing, and it's good news. So at about 12:30, 12:15 last night, I was asleep, and my left-hand rod just absolutely churned off. I was fishing a tight clutch, and it was just enough so the fish could take line, and it absolutely peeled off, and I scrambled into my waders and played this fish in, and it proper rooked. It went round to the left and managed to get into the reeds, but yeah, I managed to get it out, and yeah, I got a little bit of film for you. It's a bit special, so I'll let you have a look now. Oh, here we go. So 1 o'clock in the morning, about half an hour ago, left-hander absolutely rips off. Oh, and after a proper battle, we've only gone and got the biggest carp in the lake. Fish called Mike's Pet at a new personal best of 43 pounds, 14 ounces. What a buzz. Oh, I am so happy right now. All those blank nights and those struggles early on in spring, to finally catch a few, and some good ones as well. Obviously this is a recapture for me, but it was £10 lighter when I caught it on my first ever visit to the lake 3 years ago.
And although now I've only caught 4 carp, a little bit unlucky to catch one of the same ones again, but when it's a new PB and nearly 44 pound, I ain't saying no. Oh, what a carp. She's a proper unit. Right, we've done the pictures. We're gonna get a slip back. Happy days, get in. Oh. So yeah, I was proper buzzing with that, although it was a recapture, like I said in the video. You can't not be happy with that, you know, a new personal best. It was 10 pounds heavier than when I caught it last time, and the whole purpose of why I joined this lake 3 years ago, or 3.5 years ago, whenever it was to have the chance to fish for big carp. You know, it's something I've never really done before, and I've certainly never strung a campaign together like I have done this spring, where I fished consistently for 9 weeks. So yeah, I was made up with that, you know, proper chunk of a fish. So I didn't put the rod back out afterwards, so you can see there, it's just, where are we? Yeah, one rod left. I fished 2 rods sort of 6 foot apart when I put those 2 out last night. Not kind of on a spot over like that spreader boilie, it was all fairly clear out there. And the reason why I didn't put the rod back out is, so far this spring, I found the fish to be, well, basically spooking off casts. And yeah, whenever I've got on fish and put rods out, they seem to just do the off. So I didn't want to risk putting a lead out there, even if it went out in one cast, and spooking them, basically. I thought that the fish would have come out the reeds. There's likely to be other fish out there feeding on the spot or in the area, or just milling around. I didn't want to put them on edge, so I decided just to leave the rods as they were. Obviously nothing else has happened, but I do feel it was the best choice. But yeah, so it's obviously a warm day today. I don't think another bite is on the cards. It's kind of 7, 8 o'clock now. There's still half a chance, but yeah, I'd be surprised if anything happened now. So the reeds are knocking, there's fish all in the reeds. I think they're mainly the small ones, to be fair, and this usually happens around spawning time. You get the young males getting excited and getting into the reeds, knocking the reeds, kind of chasing each other around, getting ready for spawning, and then you'll get the bigger females holding off. I don't think it's a coincidence that 3 of the last 4 fish caught out the middle have been 39, 43 and 43. The bigger fish just holding off those young males that are kind of all feisty and kind of jostling around in the reeds. They don't want to, you know, they don't want to be involved in that until they're ready. So although you might catch less out in the pond at the moment, I think you'll definitely catch the bigger ones, and I've found that before as well on other lakes. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be long before they spawn. It feels really warm, the water's warm. I don't know whether we're going to get next week in or not, and I've got a couple of nights booked in 2 weeks, but it's looking unlikely, I think. But I'm chuffed, you know, catch a 43 pounder, you know, absolutely made up. So hopefully I'll see you again on this spring campaign, but if I don't, then I hope you've enjoyed it. Speak to you soon.